Today, David Kendricks is going to be speaking from the Innovative Planning Pathways. He is completing his level 5 project, the Prepare to Speak Professionally. As mentioned, this is a 18 to 22-minute speech. The title of his speech is, and first of all, in terms of objectives, as this is a much longer speech for about 20 minutes, make sure that what we're looking for here is fluidity in the speech, also any dead spaces in the speeches and so on, since it's very long. To introduce his speech, the title of his speech is The Joy of Speaking Professionally. David Kendricks, everyone.
All right. As professional speakers, we do this for a variety of reasons. We choose a path that isn't taught to us as children, rarely taught to us as adults, and there's no real formal training out there besides groups like Toastmasters. Now, when I was preparing for this speech, I did a quick Google search for professional speakers. I went to Indeed.com and I typed in professional speaker. 0 results. I went to Monster.com and I found 1 result for professional speaker that I would like to share with you all today. It is for a company called 6K Systems. And 6K Systems is looking for a professional speaker or presenter. The individual will support the Federal Bureau of Investigation's retirement system by presenting live and virtual retirement seminars for eligible FBI employees. Now, I was baffled by this because you mean to tell me the only job out there for a professional speaker is working for the FBI? I don't want to be investigated, so I'll pass on that one. I don't think too many people will be signing up to speak in front of FBI agents. I don't want that. I don't want them in my life that much. But let's talk about professional speaking and what makes it so great, and talk about how to prepare to speak professionally as we move throughout our careers. The first thing that I learned as a professional speaker is a valuable resource: time. It's our most valuable resource. Something that we can't get back. Something that once depleted, we're no longer here. So we have to spend this resource valuably. We have to cherish it. And how do we do that as professional speakers? We start with having something important to say. We join groups like Toastmasters on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. because we want to invest time into ourselves to become better speakers, better people, better communicators. Some of you in this group may know me, some of you may not. As I was introduced, you heard this speech is going to be 18 to 22 minutes. You may be thinking, 18 minutes? Yeah. I can do a lot of stuff in 18 minutes. I don't know if I want to hear David run his mouth that long. My time is valuable. But what I've learned throughout my career as a speaker is you have to say things that are important. And you may think, well, David, if I'm going to speak, everything that I say is important, right? It is. To you. And that's the thing I learned about time and speaking in front of people and taking up their time. You have to tell stories. Tell stories that are unique to you. Because if you can tell me something that I can just go on Google and find in 2 minutes, I'm not going to want to hear you talk about it for 20 minutes. And that's the great thing about public speaking as well. When we're up here, we get to share a piece of ourselves with people. I've learned a lot from many people in the group, just from Toastmaster speeches. And after the meeting, we talk about other things. But we spend time with each other in this group every Saturday morning, and we invest time in one another, and we do things like have evaluators who evaluate us, and they help us become better professional speakers. A story that I tell that many of you may know is my military service, which is important to me. You may be able to watch a movie, read a book, watch the History Channel to find out about military service. But when I speak, I give you firsthand experience of what it was like on the battlefield to speak with somebody who has been injured. I talk about my recovery. I talk about why I got into professional speaking in the first place, to advocate for individuals who are like me, who are veterans, who are disabled, and who have trouble dealing with some of the mental health issues that they have after military service. Now, that's something that you may be able to Google, but hearing it firsthand from someone is an experience that you're not going to find online. Now, as a professional speaker, taking people's time is valuable. The last thing you want to see when you're giving a speech, and I've had this happen to me, is look down and see everybody in their phones. You're a waste of time to them. It's not a good feeling. I've had that happen to me one time, and I froze up on stage. And I was like, what I have to say is important. Why aren't people listening to me? And that's when I had to learn to develop ways to give a speech that are interesting to other people as well, not just to me. And that takes me to my second point about speaking professionally. You have to love what you do while you're up here. When we have new people join our group here, they usually tell us why they want to join Toastmasters. Some of you out there are managers who want to be better communicators with your employees. Some of you hold jobs with public relations where you have to speak to the media and you want to become better communicators. Some people just want to get over the fear of public speaking. Now, I know you've all heard as Toastmasters, most people would rather die than speak publicly. To get in front of somebody and all their flaws is just there in front of you. People get stage fright. And people would rather die than to speak publicly. And it's because when you're up here, you're giving so much of yourself to the audience. You're vulnerable. Just like I am right now. All I can see is eyes just looking at me. And I'm vulnerable up here, but I love what I do, so I do it all the time. And I love to practice and get better and get feedback. I'm going to share a story of when I first fell in love with professional speaking. It was my very first speech in 2010 in Washington, D.C. There was a crowd of about, I would say, 200 people in the audience, and it was my first time speaking as a member of the Speakers Bureau for Source America. And I was there to tell my personal story of adversity, how I was injured, how I overcame it, and how individuals like myself with disabilities look just fine, but live with these life-altering disabilities that make it hard for us to enter the workplace. And I'm sitting there in a chair with a couple of people, and they're introducing me. And as they introduce me, my heart is about in my throat. And I just, my boom, 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 boom. And he says my name, and everybody gets up and claps. And I walk to the stage, and I grab the podium, and I look out at everyone's eyes, and I said, wow, this is freaking awesome. Everyone wants to hear what I have to say. And that's the moment that I fell in love with professional speaking. And I get that feeling every time I give a professional speech. I had it just a couple of moments ago when Luis was introducing me. And that feeling, it keeps me coming back. I keep wanting to get better, share more and more and more of my story with the world. And I love to help other people get better as well. Because not too many people can do what we do as professional speakers. I shared a post on my LinkedIn page earlier this week about Martin Luther King Jr. and the I Have a Dream speech, which some people say is one of the most famous speeches of all time. I seen that speech and I aspire to be that good when I'm delivering my speeches one day. To be known not by my name, but just by a speech. I don't know what the speech title would be or anything like that, but when you love what you do, sometimes like we are right now, we don't get paid for it all the time. But we keep coming back and we keep coming back and we keep coming back to deliver speeches. And I've been paid for professional speeches. I don't know if any of you have been paid for it. And I've talked to Jeff about this in the group. It's a grind to try to get paid for speaking, especially with the coronavirus, because last year the industry completely shut down. There was no mass gatherings. There was no conferences. Everything was just closed, including our Toastmasters conference, closed. There was no opportunities to speak anywhere. And for professional speakers whose livelihood depend on getting paid, a lot of people lost a lot of things last year. Lost homes, couldn't afford the lifestyle that they live because there were no opportunities to speak professionally and get paid to speak. However, people kept, they persevere, and they kept giving speeches online. And people got to see the joy of public speaking, how great it is, what it can do for an entire country. Something that I saw in January was, I believe her name is Amanda Gorman, the young lady who spoke at the inauguration. And she became worldwide famous. Everyone knows her name now. She gave a poem at the Super Bowl, things of that nature. And I thought to myself, wow, look at how just the gift of public speaking can bring us together as a country. No matter who your favorite president was, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever, every president has had a great speech that has brought us together as one. And that's why the time, like I spoke about earlier, is so valuable. Because we keep coming back to speaking. We keep coming back. We don't get paid for it. And it's really a grind. We keep coming to Toastmasters, and we, like I am, I'm on my level 5. We try to get our DTM, our Distinguished Toastmaster, because we love what we do. Last thing I would like to share, a story that I rarely talk about. And this is why I go back to saying your stories are not only important to you, but they're important to the world as well. Because everyone knows me as a speaker. If they request me, they want to hear about the military, overcoming adversity, living with a mental health challenges and things of that nature. But one thing that I never tell people is about my struggles throughout high school. When I was in high school, I went to summer school all 4 years. And I went to summer school for the same course, Algebra 1, 9th grade algebra. And for some reason, the schools, they kept passing me along and along and along and along. I had to go to summer school each year, but I failed in summer school as well. However, I kept getting passed along to the next grade. And I almost wasn't able to join the Army because I failed my first ASVAB. Because I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I know how to get away from all this algebra. I'll just join the Army as a cavalry scout and fight on the front lines, never have to see algebra again. The first thing I saw on the entry exam for the Army was algebra. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? I don't have to do algebra in the Army. I just want to go fight. Fast forward years later, I passed the ASVAB. I passed summer school. I had a teacher who was a veteran as well, and I was so embarrassed. I had this teacher 2 times for the same summer school class. And in my 12th grade year in 2005, he said, David, you failed again. But you're going to go on to do great things in the Army, and I don't want this one class to keep you from joining the Army and serving your country. So I went on, joined the Army. Years later, I'm out the Army. It's 2016, and I get my bachelor's degree. And I'm so proud of myself. I did it. College was really hard. There was algebra in college as well, but I'm a little bit older now. I know how to apply myself. And I got my bachelor's degree. A kid who couldn't even pass level 1 algebra, a kid who barely was able to join the Army, now has my bachelor's degree. So I flew my mom down here to Atlanta, and she got to see her son finally graduate from something and walk across the stage. And that was the proudest moment of my life, because I got to make my mom proud. And that's a story that I want to tell to another audience. And that's the joy of public speaking. That's why I love doing this when I'm up here, because I get to share so many different pieces of myself with the audience. And people walk up to me after I speak and they say, wow, David, I never know that. I never knew that about you. You know, you carry yourself a certain way, things of that nature. These are all stories that we have within us. All of you have stories within you as well. Being a speaker is tough. Being a professional speaker, getting paid for it, is even harder. Unless you want to work for 6K Systems and the FBI. If you do, please let me know and I will send you that job and you can let us know how that application process goes. I hope you enjoy the background checks if you want to work for them. But ladies and gentlemen, this is truly a great skill that we have. I love being up here. I love this group. I love the ability to share a piece of myself with everyone here every single time that I walk off the stage here. Now, that education story was the first time that I ever told it. And I'm shaking right now, just having flashbacks, thinking about seeing my mom and my sisters and my family there. Something that I wanted to happen in 12th grade, but I didn't apply myself. And it's those moments like that that are intricate. They make us feel special. They make other people feel special. Because they say, well, hey, if David can do it, I can do it as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the joy of public speaking. Toastmaster, over to you.
Thank you, David. Excellent job. Great speech.